just in case somebody wants to review it and they couldn't make it. And thanks to folks who have already put questions in the notes. Okay. Could people hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Great. I did clear my throat once in there, so that might have been the issue. And we're right at the top of the hour or the beginning of the session, depending where you are in the world. So we have a good group. I think we'll go ahead and go ahead and get started, I should say. Hopefully get ahead of things as well. Just want to note that Alessandro from Mitico is here also, and I think he's the one that can start the recording. Alessandro, can you take that?
Yeah, the recording has already started at the top of the hour, and there is a graphical glitch that doesn't show the recording label that I already fixed, but hasn't been deployed to this instance yet. But this session is being recorded. Yeah.
Super, great. Thanks very much. With that, we'll get started. Thanks everybody for coming. I really think that a few minutes invested in just refamiliarizing yourself with Mitico pays a lot of dividends in terms of having your sessions go smoothly during the IETF meeting. And of course, there are a few new aspects. Most of what you will see here today is super familiar, or should be if you've chaired a session at a recent IETF fully online meeting. But of course, there are a few different aspects that we'll want to highlight, given that this will be the first meeting where there are both in-person and online participants in the last 2 years. So I said this a few times, but I'll just say it again because it's helpful. The notepad that you'll see and can access by clicking on the pencil and pad icon at the top of the Mitico window is a great place to put questions or points that you want to make sure to be covered. And we'll run through that at the end. And I think this will go pretty quickly. Again, most of this stuff is the same as last IETF meeting, and most of you all I recognize names or experienced chairs. So this will just be a quick review mostly, and then we'll focus a little bit on the aspects that are related to the in-person aspect of this meeting. Yeah, so I'm going to try and follow chat along, but feel free to, since this is a relatively small group, feel free to just use the Q feature to raise your hand, and then we'll manage things that way, or and then use audio when you want to speak, and if you want to send video when you're speaking, that'd be great too, just to test that out if you want to test your setup. So just again, this session is covered under the note well, and you can get a version of the slides that I'm showing right now in Mitico from the preparation webpage that we put up, and it has a couple of details that are specific to the hybrid meeting. And it also has this note well, so if you're looking for something to start your slides from or to show at the beginning of the session that you're chairing, it's a pretty good place to start. I wanted to point out first what things will look like in the Vienna meeting rooms. So this is mostly what you would be familiar with from before times when we all met in person. Pretty similar. There's a head table where the chairs will be if they're in-person chairs. There's a microphone stand at the front of the room where there'll be a pink X that people who are presenting should stand by. There are going to be 2 cameras in the room controlled by Mitico. One will cover the front of the room table and also the microphone stand. And those will be continuously, those 2 streams will be continuously shown in the Mitico session or for each session. So people who are not in the room will be able to see those 2 streams. And the other camera will cover the microphone line. So be a typical classroom style meeting room setup. One room will cover, or one camera will cover the front of the room, and one camera will cover the microphone lines. And both of those will be continuously shown in the Mitico session. So what that means is that, and we'll cover this a little bit in a little bit more detail later, but what this means is that people who are joining the session in person will not send audio or video or play audio or video when they're in the room. So because that will be handled by the microphones and the cameras in the room for them. And there's a special on-site version, sort of a Mitico Lite, that will allow people to sign in for the session in person, and will sign them in for the automatic blue sheets, and will also allow them to enter the microphone queue, and also participate in things like polls. And it's going to be really important to remind people who are in the room to join via Mitico, again, using the on-site Lite version, or they can use the full version, so that they can be registered as on the blue sheets, and also so that they can participate in the unified queue. Yeah. Hey, Torlis.
Is there a template page for the chair slides to say all these things?
Yeah, there is. As I mentioned, there's on the preparations webpage, there's a link to a couple of things. One is a slide deck. Yeah, thanks for asking the question, because there's definitely a slide deck there that has these points on it. And there's also a one-page checklist document that you can look at and just be sure you run through these various items to remind folks. So if you take a look at those and see something missing, definitely let us know. And we'll probably be there'll be a reminder sent out just before the meeting starts to chairs to just make sure they have quick access to all those resources. Hey, Mahesh, please go ahead. Hi, Mahesh, I see you sending audio, but I don't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Mahesh, I'm gonna see about moving ahead to Sanjay.
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me. Maybe Mahesh
Yes.
needed to unmute his audio there. One question I wanted to ask is that, so you're saying that for folks that are participants that are in the room, when they need to speak up, will they go up to the mic?
Yeah.
And before they do that, they'll have to click on this raise hand icon and then go up to the mic to speak?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. That's exactly right. So everybody in the session will be logged into Mitico. And to enter the unified queue, then they'll click on the raise hand icon, which you can see at the top of this, and then we'll have a screenshot of the Lite version, and it's very clear. It's the same icon, so you click on that, and that'll enter them in the queue in the order in which they joined. So you'll see that it doesn't matter whether they're in person or remote, they'll be in the same queue. There'll be one queue. And then when the chair recognizes a particular person in the queue, if they're remote, they'll speak as they usually do in an online meeting. And if they're in the room, they'll go to the microphone as they usually would do in the room and speak from the microphone. That's exactly right. Mahesh, I'm gonna put your hand down unless you want to. Mahesh, actually, what do you want to try audio again now?
Are you guys able to hear me?
Okay. Mahesh, I see you trying to send audio, but I don't hear you. So.
And I think that's the thing. I think I hear Mahesh very, very silently. So like super low volume.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
oh, you're right. Yeah, Mahesh, I'm not sure. I do hear you very low. Eve, were you going to say the same thing?
Yes, I was just remarking it was super quiet, like in Whoville.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Mahesh. Thank you, Eve. And I don't know if there's something that you can adjust, Mahesh. If you wanted to make another comment, I see in the chat that you had the same question. And I think I'm sorry, Eve. Did you have another question that you want to ask?
Sorry for the interruption.
No. Thank you very much. And Hank, did you want to say something else? Now I can't hear Hank.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. See, when I'm brave enough, so using the Brave browser on my tablet, and every time I switch on audio, my Bluetooth settings change. And there's a small outage in my headset. It's like, okay, I see what you're doing there. It's not useful to me, but probably it's fine. So, okay. Hi, I'm Hank. So my question is, when I will be in the room. I'm very much sure of that. So if I'm in the room and I see a mic line, and I also see a queue in Meet Echo, do I have to make a manual note which queue hand went up before which person arrived at the mic? Because I have to synchronize, I guess, two mic lines here, and I have no idea how to do that. So I could do the room first and then the online later, or the other way around. Both would be somehow unfair, and I don't know how to deal with that. So some guidance there would be useful to me.
Yeah, thanks for that question, because I hope I can clarify that. The idea is that everybody will be using Meetecho, whether they're in person or online. And as you can see, and I'll come over, somebody else had a question in the notepad. Everybody will be using Meetecho, whether they're remote or on site. So they're in the room or the remote. And everybody should use the raise hand icon to enter the queue. And so there's a single unified queue, no matter if you're remote or in person. They're woven together. And so you will see people in that queue, as we see now, 3 people there, who are sequenced in the order in which they have entered the queue. So you would not need to do any, you only have to keep track of one queue.
Okay, so I have to remind people that I do not recognize in the real life queue that they didn't raise their hand when they appear there.
Right. It's equivalent, I think, as someone just started shouting from the middle of the room without actually getting into the in-person microphone queue. So yes, the idea is that everybody enters the queue, and then you know who entered the queue in which order, and then you can recognize them in that order, and they can make their comments either using Meetecho or in person.
So I will make sure beforehand that if someone is speaking up on the real mic and did not raise their hand, and I will call them out because some other participant on the remote mic in the Meet Echo it's his turn or her turn, sorry. Then I will call that person out, will give a strike. Don't do this again. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that this is like a little bit of a fun game. So always raise your hand or you get a strike in the room, and so people a little bit in order at some point. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, Pete asked the question. I'll just answer Pete's question here in the comment, which is, I think ultimately it's up to the chair to figure out how to manage the order of speaking, and the queue in Meeteco is a tool for doing that. And so, clearly there's sometimes a back and forth at the mic that doesn't necessarily respect the exact queue, but it's up to the chair to use the queue as a tool, and hopefully that's a helpful way to do it. And yeah, okay. Torlis, please. I see you.
Okay, so I don't think I completely followed the workflow Hank was describing, and maybe it's not exactly what I was thinking of. So the virtual queue, the top has a person whose name I don't know. In the physical queue in the room, the top of the queue is a person whose face I don't recognize. And let's assume that guy stood up and didn't click to being in the queue. Do I see in the joint queue whether the person there is meant to be physical or remotely? I mean, how do I resolve that conflict, right? So that person in the queue, shouldn't be there because he didn't click, but I don't know because I don't know either, the face nor the name.
Yeah, so it's a good question. I'm going to answer your question in two ways that I know how, and then Alessandro might have some other questions or other points. First of all, one of the new features of Meeteco you'll see is in the participant list or the participant list. There's an icon next to your name that shows either a house with a little icon with a computer, laptop style, or you can see now the Meeteco robot has a little mobile phone. Thank you, Alessandro. And that will give you an indication whether a participant is using the full version or the mobile-friendly light version of Meeteco. So likely, or it's anticipated that an on-site participant will be joining the session that they're sitting in using the light version, so you could see that. That will give you some indication about whether someone is likely to be in person in this room or joining from online. The other thing I will say is that, of course, the protocol is still that someone should say their name before speaking, so you can tell whether the person who is matched up with their name. And I see Joel has a suggestion about how, yeah. And I see Alan also made a special a comment as well. Yeah. Okay. So there's some good group conversation about how that situation might be dealt with, and hopefully that's helpful. And Joey, please.
Thank you. So yeah, more like a follow-up question. Well, first, let me make sure if I'm understanding it right. So like at the beginning of a session, we remind everybody, hey, please join via Meeteco because we're gonna need that and we're gonna use that for both the blue sheets and the queue, right? And then when we open the queue, then we should have a unified list, right? And just let me know if I'm missing something or misunderstanding anything. And then as chairs, we start going person by person right on the virtual queue that we can see. So then we call them first person, this person, either on-site or remote, states their name, says their piece, whatever, and then we move on to the next person. And at this point, we can remind people maybe. All right, guys. So the people that are in the physical queue here in person, if you didn't join the queue in Meet Echo, we are not going to be able to call your names, right? So if you join the queue just physically in person, then go back to your devices and join virtually. Yeah. So then we can call them one by one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to do it. Yeah, and hopefully just the reminder at the beginning of the session that if to speak at the queue, that people need to first raise their hand in Meet Echo before they come to the mic. But yeah, that sounds right to me.
All right. And then my follow-up question was about the icon. So then,
Yep, go ahead.
okay. I thought I lost you. Yeah. So about the icon, you said that the people that are going to be using the light version on their mobiles will have the mobile icon, right? Um, but what about the people that are in person in the session, but they brought their laptops? Is it going to show with the little house and the laptop icon? I did lose Greg, didn't I?
Yeah, I think Greg just went offline.
Where's Greg?
A minute for him to join.
Welcome back. We don't hear you.
So I
Yeah,
wasn't the only problem
sorry
just
about
now.
that. Sorry about that. My browser crashed. So apologies.
All right. Maybe I can ask my icon question.
Yeah, please. I lost state there. Please.
Yeah, no worries. And I'm sorry if I missed it in the chat. I didn't follow the conversation there if somebody had the answer. So I was wondering, you mentioned that people that will join in person but using the light version on their mobile, that there's going to be a mobile icon right next to their name. But what if they are in person but they join with a laptop? Do we know if it's going to be the same house and laptop icon?
Yeah, yes. It will be the same house and laptop icon, if I am correct. Alessandro will correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, actually, that's not necessarily true because there is a third icon that is something like a standing man that is displayed when somebody connects from the venue from the meeting network, so that we recognize the IP address block of the meeting network, and we display a different icon that is an on-site participant that is using the full version of the Miteco client.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the correction there, Alessandro. Sorry
Kind of-
to have missed that.
I kind of think that this kind of is going to be the wrong kind of thing, because we do have cases where people sit in one room and connect to another room to figure out when they're to run to the other room is, and that person won't be in the room but will be in the right IP block. And then we may also have people on a mobile phone in the room that for whatever reason they can't figure out how to get onto the meeting network and they're on LTE, so they'll be in the wrong IP block or stuff. So it just seems like to me like that we really just need to be people to say if they're present or not, or something like that. Don't know.
Yeah, about that, the only reason why we are trying to identify people that are connecting from the venue is feature-wise, the two fully remote and let's say local remote, so local but with the full version, are just the same, with the only exception that if you try to send your audio, so to enable your mic while you're connecting from the venue, there is an alert pop-up that warns you that you may cause echo if you're trying to send audio and you're sitting in that room, because you may just do that by accident and cause a lot of noise and disrupt the meeting. So we wanted to put this further alert to try and avoid this bad behavior, let's say.
So this is Hank. Sorry for interrupting here. I'm in the queue. So what I think is that we have an on-site list, and that would be maybe a better indicator, because I'm prone to using 5G also, and I'm in Europe, so, and I don't rely on EduRoam all the time. Although the IETF network is fine, so kudos to NOC. No offense, but still, because I'm a lazy bastard, I'm using my 5G because that works all the time, out of the box. I don't have to think about it, and so so I would be remote, although I'm on site. But I registered on site, and I'm listed in the on-site list. So maybe data tracker individuals that are on listed as on-site can have that man. And it doesn't matter if it's a network thing, like I don't know which segment I'm in, or something like that, or which room I'm in. I registered as on-site, so I'm an on-site person. If I'm not in the room and I'm doing meet echo anyway, so that's my fault. Sorry, I have to act like a non-room attendee because I can't be in the room, and that's fine. But I have to speak out loud and make that happen. But in any case, I would assume that network access is maybe not the best choice of determining if someone is on site. I think the registration status of being on site might be a better choice.
Yeah, we actually considered that, and I'm not that convinced that relying on the registration status is a good indication, because, for instance, you may be registered as on-site by maybe attending a working group meeting session from your hotel room because of whatever reason, basically. And in that case, you're actually remote, so you may want to send audio or to give a presentation or whatever, and just as you were a real remote participant.
So,
So I understand we're actually going to change the thing. It's just going to add these extra warnings. So that's not really the end of the world.
Yeah, as I said, the features are just the same. You can do all the stuff that you can do as a real remote user, with only that further pop-up that warns you that you may be sending audio in the physical room while you're sitting in the physical room, so you may disrupt the meeting by causing echo and stuff. That's just it. And you can still decide to really send your audio and just ignore the warning.
So I think these are really good questions. I'm gonna jump in here, just because I think that these are good comments and certainly something to watch for. But I'm really hopeful we can get onto some of the other topics as well. I'm a little conscious of time, so I've taken notes on this, and I know Alessandro has as well. So we'll definitely keep an eye on it as we get to the meeting to see how theory or practice bumps up against theory in this case. So thank you very much for the comments. Rafat, I see you in the queue. Please.
Yeah, quick question for people that want to join the Meet Echo locally. Do they need an account on Meet Echo? Or can they join just as a guest? Like, what's the?
Yeah, so as before with the fully online meetings, everybody who joins a Meet Echo session needs to be registered for the IETF meeting, and they'll authenticate using data tracker for that. So that's true whether you're remote or in person.
Got it. Thank you.
Cool. I just see one question in the chat I wanted to pick up, which is that about whether chairs will need to bring laptops or not. It is true that chairs will need to log into the Meeteco session using the full client. I see Sam is, oh, no, Sam decided not to. And so they should bring, ideally they bring their own device so they can do that, a laptop, and they'll just log into the session using the full Meeteco client, but not send audio or video or mute their system. And that'll allow them to see the same view that they have seen using Meeteco during the online session. So they'll be able to manage the queue, manage sharing, which we'll get to very shortly, and then do things like initiate polls and those sorts of things. So I hope that answers the question that I think Deb asked. So if the last point on that is, if for some reason your laptop, you're chairing from in person and your laptop dies, the secretary will have some Chromebooks available that you can request and use for a session. So there is a backup if needed. Torlis, please.
Yeah, so how about when helping out in another session? I guess that, working group chair role for another working group doesn't apply.
I'm hearing some. Yeah, so I know that the ISG has discussed this. I'm hearing some audio that's from Torlis.
I can't stop it. This is bloody Google Fi, on my, I hung up my phone and my browser is still ringing forever. I have no idea.
I'm sorry. Well, I'll try and answer over that. The short version is the roles inside of Meeteco are determined by data tracker. And I believe Alessandro, again, I'm going to look to Alessandro to help me out here if I don't get something exactly right. I believe that the IESG has talked about the possibility of providing chair roles temporarily to other individuals for particular sessions. But in general, the idea is that if you're a chair for a session that's designated in data tracker, and Meeteco will assign to you the roles that you, or the permissions that you should have based on your role as indicated in data tracker.
Okay, so worst case, you come to a session, a replacement chair is missing. You'd hope that a Meeteco person can jump in and help getting those temporary privileges for that session to your data tracker account. Something like that?
Yeah, I don't know, Alessandro, if you want to take that on, please.
Yes, that's correct. So we can temporarily upgrade, let's say, people to chairs in any given session. The best way to have chairs privileges would be via the data tracker role. So ask for the tools team, or I don't know who manages the role within the data tracker, to put you temporarily as a chair, as an acting chair, let's say. But if, as you said, the acting chair is not there for whatever reason, just mention Meeteco in the Jabber room and we can make you chair and continue the session.
And so what's the official process before, in kind of next week, to assign someone to temporary or chair for the session?
You mean via the data tracker role?
Yeah, so in terms of for colleagues, who can't come, how do they designate someone else?
I think you should just get in touch with your AD, and ADs can request temporary chairs privileges. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, that's right. That's my understanding as well. And Michael?
Alessandro, do secretaries automatically get chair privileges?
Secretariat have some sort of superpowers, yes, but they cannot upgrade or demote people within a session. Only Miteco can.
No, I don't mean secretariat. I mean working group secretary.
Oh, a working group secretary, no, they are not getting chairs privileges within a session, no.
Because that might be a simpler out is to, for the ISG just bless people as secretaries. If Miteco would then just accept that as a chair role, that might be a simpler way than giving away, because they have less permissions already. Anyway.
Yeah, if that's a requirement, let's say it's kind of super easy for me to configure the Miteco platform to automatically assign chairs privileges to working group secretaries. So if I'm asked to do so, I can definitely do that. No problem at all.
Great. Well, thanks for all the questions and comments. I do want to get into the slide sharing because I see a few that are about slide sharing here in the notes and in the chat. Really quickly, there is the one point about the in-person version of Miteco and how people will find it. So in the participant guide online, there is a example of the icon that you will already see in the data tracker agenda for the online version of Miteco. But in addition, there will be in the room, the Secretariat will have QR codes that people can use on their mobile devices to get to launch the online version of Miteco for the session that they are sitting in. So that should be super easy. And yeah, so there'll be multiple ways to get to the right version of Miteco for the particular session that you're in. So let me just talk a little bit about slide sharing. I'm first going to share my entire screen just so that you can see what I'm seeing, and I apologize in advance for the funhouse effect that you will see. It's going to take me just a second here. Okay. Ooh, I have to stop my slides. There we go. Okay. So yes, so you see all of my screen in multiple versions recursively down through infinity. Let me just show you some of the ways that you can share slides, and also in particular how you can allow other people, other participants to control the slides. So the first thing to say is that ideally all the slides are uploaded to Data Tracker ahead of the meeting session so that they're all there. But there are a number of other ways to do it, to share slides. I believe it's possible to upload a slide, to upload a slide. Here we go. Okay, so you can upload a slide on the fly here by choosing upload, and you can drop a slide deck here or pick it from your system. And then those will be processed and available to share slides. So then people, when they want to share slides by using that preloaded slide share icon, they'll be able to see the slides that they've uploaded from that menu. Another option is that you can share the screen as I'm doing, though that's probably the least desirable way to do it. It's not as nice as sharing the preloaded slides. And then finally, the thing that's I think new for this version of Miteco is that people are able to, chairs are able to assign other participants control over the slides. So you can see, you can pass the slide to control, and when you click on that, well, I can't do it now because I'm sending video instead of slides. But if I were to revert back to my shared slides, I could manage who controls them by sending them across. And I see both Sanjay and Michael in the queue. So I'll stop sharing my screen right now and go back to sharing slides, and then I'm happy to test that out as well. Sanjay, please go ahead.
I think somebody had answered this before, but but anyway, I'll ask again. So the option of sharing that you just showed would work if I am using, for example, my PC, and I have my email running in the PC, so I can detach it. But the question is that, am I using my PC at the chair, or am I using the AMC provided PC in the room? Because my options will be then limited based on what's on the AMC PC versus my PC that I would connect and project in the meeting room.
Yes. So just to be clear, the idea is that you will connect to the session through Meetico using your own PC, but you won't connect to the projector per se, so that you will be in the session and being able to control the session because you are logged into the session via Meetico on your own laptop. So you won't have to connect the laptop into any projector because you'll be getting video from the room AV, and you'll be sharing slides via the Meetico interface. If you don't have a PC for some reason, or a laptop, or your laptop is not working, then you can request a Chromebook, but you would still log into the session via a browser using Meetico and that way. Hope that answers your question. Please put something in the chat if I missed something. But yeah, Michael, go ahead, please.
I wanted you to go back and show us again where to upload the slides, because it really was unclear which button you pushed. And of course, we can't push that button from where we are now to see the hints, I think.
That's I can do that. I think you can. Let's see here. Okay, I'll try that again. And while I'm trying that, and I'll show that again. Deb, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
So what's connected to the projector? Not my laptop, but another Meetico feed?
Yeah, another Meetico feed. I think it's going to technically be a Raspberry Pi device connected to the projector, but again, Alessandro can correct me if I've got that wrong.
That's actually my original question, was what connects to the projector, and do I need to worry about bringing the right adapters for that? So not me. Yay. That's awesome. Thank you.
Great. Okay, this is responding to Michael's question about slides. So you can see I'm clicking the little screwdriver and wrench up in the right-hand corner here on my screen. I click on Manage Slides. And then I don't know if you can see the overlay on this because it's also blocking my screen. You can. Great.
The overlay.
I'm sorry?
Yes, we can see the overlay. Would you like to pass control of a slide to somebody else?
Yeah. Are you willing to be that test subject? I can't hear you, but I'm gonna imagine yes. You said yeah. Okay.
I did say yeah.
Okay. Okay. So now you should see my slides, or the slides that I'm sharing. I'm going to pass control of those slides to you by what I do is I roll over your name, and I can see the option to start a private chat, to open your data profile, your data tracker profile, and I also see the option to pass. As I think as chair, I see the option to pass slide control to you, which I'll do now. And then you should.
Okay, it says a new slide deck has been shared. Oh, passes the slides control. And I see numbers at the bottom. Okay. And I can advance the slides.
Right.
And I can hit the X. And I love this picture here. And I kind of want it to be printed up on, this is the IETF. I just love this slide. It's great, right?
Okay, well, thank you, Alessandro, for making it.
So much
So-
power. And then I can hit X to close deck, or I can change the deck even. Ooh, I can
That's
even
right.
change the deck.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. All right. I'll get out now.
Okay,
I don't know how we could ever have lived in the IETF without that slide telling us how to work in the room. So
yeah, it's pretty nice. So now that you've closed that deck, I need to reshare it, I think, because when you close the sharing, then nobody sees it anymore. Great. Well, that seems successful. I'm looking through chat. Slide number 2. Yeah, I know that would be kind of nice. Hopefully,
We just exercised passing the slides to an attendee. Can the attendee slides pass back?
can the attendees pass back? I think the attendees or the participants, the non-chair participants, they can stop sharing their deck, but I don't think they can pass it to someone else, if that's what you're asking.
So you can't quickly pass the chair slides to someone who should be talking to a couple of them and then get them back without resharing, which is a bit jarring.
That's too
Yeah.
bad.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think at least the controls. So if you have two people speaking to the same deck, they need to either coordinate advancing the slides between them or something else. Okay. I'm just scrolling through chat. I don't see anything else in particular in chat, but people should just inject audio if there's something else. And we talk through the other questions that I see here in the notes pad. I think we might have covered everything that I see. I just wanted to make the point again that if you are expecting to be one chair of a session where there are not going to be any in-person chairs, so both chairs would be remote, or all chairs would be remote, or put it another way, there won't at least be one in-person chair, then it would be really good to let your AD know about that if they haven't been told already. Because while Mitoko is, as Alessandro mentioned, Mitoko is monitoring all the rooms that are in progress, and they will definitely, sort of, we'll be looking out, especially on the first day of sessions, for anything that might go wrong. Then if we know that there are no chairs in person, then maybe pay a little extra, pay a little bit closer attention to just those. So let your ADs know if there won't be any in-person chairs for the sessions that you're chairing. The other thing I would say is this is the last sort of guided tour we're going to provide, but there's definitely at least 2 more options. The scheduler for scheduling your own test sessions for either yourself and your other chairs, or you and your presenters, will be available starting Friday, I think. This Friday, so in a few days. So you can just sign up. Again, the link is in the chairs guide, where you can just set a schedule. So this won't create an interim meeting at all. It'll just create a session for Mitoko, and then you can go there with whomever else you want to test with and test things out. In addition, there will be an on-person or on-site in-person room. So Michael, if you happen to be on site and want to enjoy the glory of that diagram in person before sessions begin, you can come to the meeting room that'll be set up on Saturday morning, and there's a link to a notepad where you can, schedule out a 20-minute section, so you can just test the setup in person to get a feel for what the actual full AV setup looks like for the meeting session rooms. So those are at least two other options.
That's a really great option. Thank you for making that possible, because I think, well, yeah. And I think it's also good for the person doing that to bring 2 or 3 other people and have one of them not be in the room. Right?
Yeah. For sure. It's totally possible. And even if you're in the room, you can, and you can practice joining by the on-site, the light version of Meetico, and see what that looks like in person as well. So yeah, with that, I think we've covered everything that I was thinking we would cover, but is there something that people would like to cover that we haven't yet covered? Okay, I counted to 6. Yeah, Michael.
Well, right now everything's really choppy, and normally I would go and click on the button that says reload my audio, and I don't see that there.
Yeah, that is not.
So I'm wondering what happened to that, or do we think audio is now perfect? There was a button in the bottom right corner that the audio for.
Yeah, Alessandro might have more detail. I think the idea is that if I don't really know, actually, Alessandro, is there any further detail about the reload audio button going away that you might want to provide?
Yeah, I think that button has been removed also at the past fully online meeting, because it was supposed to be used only when you completely lost audio, and now that kind of reconnection is automatic. So if you lose audio and need to reconnect, that reconnection is automatic. I don't know if why actually Michael is getting choppy audio, and what the reason, and if the reconnect might actually have helped in this case. But I think that also at the past meeting that feature was gone, it was not available anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I see that Michael can't hear the reply.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. Yeah, so maybe we can look into it, or yeah, there might be some other workaround for that, as Pete pointed out. So we'll look at that. Rifat?
Yeah, quick question about recording. Do we need to start recording there, or is it automatically? Okay.
It's automatic.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're scheduled, it's automatic. Yeah, I'm hearing audio perfectly. So with that, I want to thank everybody for their Braun. Yes. Hey, Braun. Okay, Braun is testing video, so that's fantastic. Looked great. Thanks everybody for making time for this. Again, it's a little bit more than 10 minutes of time invested, but I hope it will help your sessions go much more smoothly when it comes time. And I want to especially thank Alessandro for making time to do this. As he mentioned, it's almost midnight where he is, and I know I can recognize from a few others that you are in the same time zone. So thank you also for making time to invest here, because yeah, it'll help come meeting week. And if there's anything that comes up that you don't see documented, please send a note to support@ietf.org. We definitely want to make sure we do everything we can to have your sessions go smoothly and be productive. So yeah, with that, I think we might be done. Thank you very much. And yeah, I hope to see you around either in person or online in about 10 more days. Take care.